Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and I am here with a couple of card projects for you today. You may have seen these projects over on my blog last week for the Essentials by Ellen Holiday 2 blog hop. I included images of these projects, but I didn't do a video tutorial, and these got a lot of comments for the snow effect that I included on these cards. So I thought I would go ahead and do a video tutorial and show you how I did that. So I'm using the 'Tis the Season stamp set. It's an Essentials by Ellen stamp set. It's available exclusively at ellenhudson.com. And I'm stamping this adorable car image on some Bristol Smooth White cardstock. Now, Bristol is my favorite cardstock for using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. And that is what I'm using to color in these images today. So I started here with this blue bug here. And the darker color is the turquoise green and the lighter one is the haze blue. And I started with the darker color around the edge or the outside edges of this little car image. And then I used the lighter color to kind of blend that out. And now for the tree, I'm using the mid brown for the trunk. And the greens that I'm using are olive green and yellow green. So I started with the olive green in the center, and I'm blending that out with the yellow green to kind of make that a really nice, bright green tree on top of my car. Now for the wheels and the tires, I am using some mid gray, light gray, dark gray, and cool gray. So the middle part of those tires or the wheels are going to be a little bit lighter, and the tires, of course, are going to be darker. Now, when I finished off this image, I kind of wanted it to have a more watercolored effect. So what I'm doing here is I am using my water brush, and I'm just going over that image and adding a layer of water, and then I dab that up with a paper towel. It makes it appear more watercolored than marker colored, but I still have the control that I get with the Zig Clean Color pens. So I'm doing the same thing with this red car. I used wine red and carmine red. And then here I am again going over that image with a little bit of clean water from my aqua brush and just dabbing up some of that color. And I did this twice on both of the cars just to kind of make it look a little bit more watercolored and to kind of lighten up that color. It just, I can't really explain it, but maybe you can see it in the picture. It kind of lifts some of that color, but you still get the shading effect. So once I completed that, I went ahead and cut those cars out with the coordinating dies, which are new to the Essentials by Ellen line. And now I'm using this My Favorite Things on a diagonal background stamp. I've inked it up in some Memento Luxe Love Letter ink. And I'm just pressing a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock. And you're gonna see that when I lift this up, I'm gonna have kind of this candy cane appearance. And this is what I used on the edge of the card. Instead of some pattern paper, I'm kind of essentially creating my own pattern paper. I love candy cane prints for holiday cards, and this background stamp is a great way to kind of create small strips of that. So now I have a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock. I have a little mask that I've used some Eclipse art masking tape to cut that out, and I put that in the center. And then I've just sewn around it with my sewing machine with some gold thread, and you saw me pulling those threads to the back, and I kind of secured them to the back so they wouldn't be showing on the front of my card. And here's the second part of that mask. So I have that circle cut out of the masking paper, and I adhered it to my card front, and now I'm just inking up this snowfall background stamp. I believe this is also from My Favorite Things, and I am stamping that onto the card front as well. Now, because I've masked this off, I'm only going to have snow within that stitched area that I created. Now, here is what I used for my snow effects. This is the Stampendous Sparkle Puff Embossing Powder. I did this just like I would any other embossing powder. I stamped with Versamark ink and then added it onto that area and then heat set it. And when you heat set it, it kind of puffs up a little bit, and it does have a little glitter to give you that sparkle effect. Now for the cars, I used my Versamark pen to add the Versamark ink to it. This allowed me to control the areas that I was putting the Versamark ink into. So you can see I just kind of dabbed it onto the front of the car and the back of the car. And then once again, I'm sprinkling on this Sparkle Puff embossing powder onto those areas to create that little snow effect on the cars. It's really fun. Now, the Marvy Yukita or Yukita snow pen is also really great for adding snow effects. However, because these Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers are water-based, when you add that snow marker on top of these, you're going to have the color move, and that snow white pen turns the color of the Zig color clean color markers underneath it. I tried it out. It did not work for this, but it would work on Copic marker coloring because those are not water-based. So to finish this card off, I've gone ahead and stamped the Time to Get Merry sentiment onto the card front, and now I'm adding the card front onto the card base with a layer of fun foam behind it to add some dimension. You can see I added that pattern paper that I created along with a strip of Basil Pear Tart cardstock along the side. And this card is getting added on with an Action Wobble Spring. Now I had to cut the Action Wobble Spring down so much, and I wanted to make sure that this was going to adhere. So I added a layer of the multi-matte medium behind that as well. And that completes my first card. I did add a layer of glossy accents over the window and wheels and that sort of thing as well. Now for the second card, it is a shaker card. So I'm going to partially die cut this circle onto my card front. You can see I've allowed part of that circle die to hang out of the cutting plates. Whatever is between the cutting plates is going to cut, and whatever is out of the cutting plates is not going to cut. So you can see when I pull that off there, I just have part of that circle cut. And now I am using the Pretty Pink Posh stitched border here, and I am just cutting what is within that circle. So I've only added the cutting plates to just the part that is contained within that circle, and that gives me that nice hill effect within that circle. Now I wanted that hill effect to carry over to the entire card front, so I'm going to emboss that into the card front, and I've just used my regular embossing sandwich here with my Sizzix Big Shot, but I've added this Spellbinders tan mat, and that gives me an entire embossed image across the entire card front. Now to create the window on my shaker card, I needed to add some acetate to this, so I'm just using a little multi-medium in the matte finish from Ranger. And the Essentials by Ellen clear window sheets. I love these. They're a nice, thick, clear acetate. And then I'm going to add foam adhesive along the entire back of this card front. But where that window is, I need to make sure that all of my foam adhesive is touching so that there are no gaps for the sequins and the shaker guts to kind of fall through. So you see me connecting all of those pieces of foam adhesive behind that. So I wanted to add a little color behind that window, so I'm using a little bit of the Broken China and the Tumbled Glass Distress Ink, and I am blending it onto a piece of the Bristol Smooth White cardstock. Now, if you're having trouble blending distress inks, I recommend that you try this Bristol Smooth cardstock. I picked up this tip from my friend Julie Ebersole, and now I feel like I have mad distress ink blending tools because this cardstock has made all the difference. And I wanted to soften it down a little bit, so I did add a layer of vellum over it. And now I am filling up my window with a mixture of Pretty Pink Posh marshmallow sequins as well as the sparkling clear, and I used both the 4mm and the 6mm sequins to add a little bit of variety of color and size in there. And now I'll remove the foam adhesive around that window and attach my backer piece so that I have that kind of blue background to my snow area there. And now for the sentiment, I'm going to white heat emboss that onto a piece of the Essentials by Ellen 43-pound vellum. So I've gone ahead and prepped the surface with a little EK Success powder tool, and I'm stamping that sentiment in some Versamark ink. And then I'm adding on the Ranger Superfine Detail white embossing powder, and then I will heat set that with my heat tool. And then I just took it over to my trimmer and trimmed it down, and I cut the end into a banner shape with my scissors, and I'm going to add it right along the edge of this card front. Once again, I've added that Basil Pear Tart cardstock as well as that kind of pattern paper that I've created along the edge of the card front. And now I'm adding a little plume of smoke behind my car. I kind of had to freehand cut this with my scissors, but it wasn't hard at all. And then I added a layer of the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush marker and just attached it underneath my car with a glue dot. And that car also is attached onto this card front with an Action Wobble Spring. Now to finish the card off, I'm just adding some finishing touches with some marshmallow and sparkling clear sequins on the outside of that shaker window. And then I'm just adding a layer of glossy accents to the wheels as well as the windows of the cars. And then I'm going to set that way far away from me so that I don't mess up the glossy accents because I do have a tendency to do that. So that completes my card projects for today. Some super fun images in this Tis the Season stamp set, as well as some fun ways to add some snow effects to your cards for this winter season. As always, I will have links to all the products used in these projects in the description at YouTube, as well as over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com, where you can get more information and see more still shots. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.